These massive tax cuts will be rocket fuel. Little rocket man, rocket fuel for the American economy. He is a sick puppy.
And now the Rocket Man's going to be facing yet another UN Security Council emergency meeting because of that missile launch of his just yesterday. Anything come of these meetings? Because you can time them after every missile launch, they have them. Independent Women's Forum foreign policy fellow Claudia Rosset joining us now. Claudia, what do you think happens this go-round?
I think we repeat the ritual. These go nowhere. They've been doing this since 2006. I think it would be as effective to hop in a circle on one foot.
I'm just trying to picture that because I can barely walk a circle on 2 feet. But yeah, in other words, they just waste their time, right? And I know, I mean, everyone worries about, well, we don't want to go to that next level where we're talking a military option here, but that's kind of where we're at, right?
Yeah, Neil, the problem is the UN has no power to enforce its resolutions. That depends on individual member states. And a lot of them cheat, don't comply. I think China, on the evidence, is not interested in enforcing these sanctions, not in any important way. Russia, same problem, many other countries. They don't actually work. They have not stopped this nuclear program, and I don't see any reason why that's about to change. It really depends on what the U.S. leads the way to doing. And sanctions, again, may cost Kim Jong-un a lot and his people far more, but they're not going to stop this nuclear program. If the UN wants to do something,
I mean, you always want to raise, or if all of these traditional methods that have been used again and again in Republican and Democratic administrations alike have not worked, what would?
Unfortunately, Neil, this is the huge question, and it's a very scary one. Nobody wants another hot war with North Korea. At the same time, the only real solution here is an end to the Kim regime. That really is the only answer. And I think the mission needs to be, for the United States, make that the goal and then ask, how do we get there with minimum cost, rather than trying to manage the situation or go to the UN, which is a ritual nothing. It won't solve it. It's a way of looking. It's dangerous in the sense that it looks like we're doing something and we aren't. But that needs to be the mission. If the UN wants to do something useful, they could start by kicking out North Korea. That would tell me they actually are trying to do something. And they could do it out of respect for the UN's own charter, of which North Korea is in gross violation.
You know, that's a very good point, Claudia. You know, the one thing I also thought of, too, is what China is doing to help here. I'm sure they were given a heads up about this missile launch yesterday. Maybe they even passed it along to us. But they, you know, I know they've supposedly frozen all banking transactions with the North Koreans, but how do we know?
We don't know. And Neil, even if they do it today, it's a dynamic process. Sanctions erode. People find ways around them. And China could enforce everything today and back away from it as soon as we turn to the next thing next week. On the evidence of more than 2 decades of China's behavior, I would say that while they say endlessly they're gravely concerned about North Korea's booming nuclear missile program, they have not stopped it. And I don't think they're going to. I think that they're quite glad to see us bedeviled by this horrible thing going on with North Korea. And for that matter, I think the Russians are too. They both sit on the UN Security Council. They both sign on to sanctions resolution after sanctions resolution. And they both look the other way or allow their own people to cheat. China is not going to help us. I wish they would, but they won't.
Yeah, they doth promise too much, right? Claudia Rosset, thank you very much. Good seeing you again. I think, all right? In the meantime,